distinguished guests, dear participants, colleagues, friends. It is a great honor for me to help kick off this fourth Paraguay Space Conference, focusing on a topic that always deserves considerable attention, the benefits of space science and technologies. The overall theme of the Paraguay Space Conference fits perfectly with this World Space Week, which every year goes from 4 to 10 October. Well, on 4 October 1957, Sputnik became the first ever satellite in space, and 10 years later, on 10 October, international community celebrated the entry into force of the Magna Carta of International Space Law, the Outer Space Treaty. Both events are critically important to the way we live today. Through the Outer Space Treaty, other UN treaties and frameworks, the space community jointly ensures responsible and peaceful conduct in an environment that we consider global common, a heritage of all humankind. This is of critical importance as the near-Earth space is a limited resource, and we must ensure its sustainable use for the future, precisely due to its strategic importance to our civilization. And this is not something we have always considered, especially since at the beginning of the space age, little was understood about the potential of satellites to benefit humanity beyond space science. Today, we much better recognize that the hardware we have been sending to space has become a game changer. Global trade and business, financial services, communication with families and friends, smart agriculture, urban planning, natural resources management, just a short list of how we benefit from space activities. And satellites also help us address most pressing issues we face as humanity. Right now, we are living in an unprecedented health and information crisis with the global pandemic ranging across all continents. The adjustment we had to make would be much more difficult to do without satellites. Remote work, telehealth, telemedicine, monitoring compliance with quarantine measures, contact tracing. Once again, space hardware has proven to be critically important. And what about climate action? Without space assets, our understanding of the processes in the Earth's spheres, our relationship with nature, and the impact of our activities on the environment would have been very limited. Satellite data and information indeed caused a breakthrough in climate science. The numbers make the case for an even more compelling evidence. More than half of the essential climate variables are dependent on satellites. And how far would we go in our mission towards sustainable socio-economic development? The absence of space hardware would hinder much of our efforts. The study that the United Nations Office for Outer Space Affairs conducted with the European GNSS Agency underlines the key role of geolocation and Earth observation provided from space. Almost 40% of all 169 targets that underpin the 17 Sustainable Development Goals are benefiting from the relevant space data, information, application, and services. Add SATCOM to the mix, and we are well above 50%. Clearly, without the capabilities to take advantage of the near-Earth space, our society, economy, health, safety, security, and daily lives in general would be much different. There is no substitute when one wants to talk about knowledge-based decision and policy making. It is thus self-explanatory that all stakeholders should work towards ensuring the space capabilities and their benefits are made universally accessible around the world. We cannot allow this industry to be yet another source of great disparities, both between nations and within them. And so it is with great interest and a sense of pride to see that Paraguay acknowledges the benefit of investing political, financial, and education capital into space activities. This year's fourth edition of the Paraguay Space Conference only underlines the growing appetite for space science, technology, and exploration in the country. The establishment of the National Space Agency in 2014, participation at the UNOOSA Space for Women expert meeting, and at the Unispace Plus 50, the adoption of national space policy, and the planning for the country's first satellite in 2021, I've been carefully following Paraguay's path. In its way forward, I can only wish the country good luck and Godspeed in taking the right decisions at the right time and in developing a sector that benefits the larger economy and society. And let me remind you and assure you that at UNOOSA, we are always prepared and willing to support Paraguay in its quest. We have a long history of capacity building activities in various aspects relevant to space. Through our Access to Space for All initiative, we support UN member states in developing space capabilities through hands-on experience. Through UN Spider, we are instrumental in accessing and utilizing space assets for disaster management. And through the Space Law for new space actors, we help newcomers to the space sector in developing an enhanced understanding of the fundamentals of international space law and to implement existing international agreements such as the already celebrated Outer Space Treaty. We also assign extreme importance to empowering youth and women. Through our Space for Youth competition, we ensure that voices of young people are heard at the global stage so that we can benefit from the ideas and solutions proposed by the generation that will inherit this planet. And through the Space for Women project, we empower women and girls to take STEM and space careers and education in a mission towards gender equality. 2020 is the beginning of a decade in which we must accelerate our action towards a better future. Despite the havoc wreaked by the coronavirus pandemic, this is the opportunity to change the course of history, to finally realize that the way we behaved before is the pathway to a disaster. We must make use of all available assets, especially satellites, to take this great leap forward. So, with the overall topic of this 4th Paraguay Space Conference, and in line with the theme of the World Space Week, we can all agree that satellites improve lives. It is now up to all of us, the international community, to make space more accessible than ever to nations, governments, local institutions, and ultimately to individuals. Hand in hand, we can make this happen. And with this in mind, let me conclude by the famous quote from Bertrand Russell: "The only thing that will redeem humankind is cooperation." I wish you all a great conference, and thank you.